Before we start, I want to say one quick thing. The video was originally recorded by me in Russian. The English voice you hear is generated using AI voice translation. I did this to make the video easier to understand. The content and story is still mine. Now let's go into the video.
Hello everyone. This will be a regular conversational video. There will be no interfaces, no designs, and no menu demonstrations here. If that's what you came for, you can safely skip this video. But if you want to understand why I am being publicly accused of fraud and what is actually happening, please watch until the end. My name is Livos. The person this video is about is known as Past Owl, also known as Past Owl or 57. Why am I even recording this video? Recently, Past Owl started publicly calling me a scammer without any evidence, just loud statements directed at a large audience. I ignored this for a long time because I don't like bringing conflicts into the public space. But when someone starts shifting responsibility for their own actions onto you, staying silent is no longer the right thing to do. This video is an explanation of the situation. I'll start from the beginning and explain how we started working together. About 3 years ago, Past Owl invited me into this field. Yes, he was one of the first people who began selling Imgui interfaces at scale for large amounts of money. I don't deny that, and I was genuinely grateful to him for the start. We worked together for almost 2 years, and for a long time there were no serious issues. But over time, more and more people started contacting me with the same complaints. After payment, they received no response, files were not delivered, deadlines were ignored or constantly postponed. There were also many complaints about refunds. He promised to return money, but never did. When people asked questions, he would simply block them on his servers, mute them, or ban them entirely. I tried to intervene. I messaged him, asked him to reply to clients. Occasionally he did, but most of the time he ignored everyone, including me. I told him directly that working honestly would bring more money and fewer problems in the long run. He didn't care. At the same time, strange things started happening inside our team. There were 3 of us, essentially a small group of friends. Me, Austin, and Past Owl. Austin now goes by the nickname Ewinger. Past Owl began writing fake reviews, using fake accounts, claiming large purchases that never happened. He had no intention of buying anything, he did it for his own amusement. He hid categories from us, sometimes kicked us from the server, and publicly tagged at everyone, calling us scammers in front of a large audience. To him, it was entertainment. At the time, I didn't understand why I kept tolerating it. Some people who bought interfaces from him might say, I bought an interface and everything was fine. Yes, sometimes interfaces were actually delivered, and the buyer received what they paid for. But it's important to understand the main point. Postal is not a developer. He does not write code. He does not create cheats, drivers, or source code. Here's how things really work. At different times, he had around 4 or 5 developers working for him. Currently, it's closer to 2. At the same time, he loves to exaggerate and lie he has claimed to have 30 or even 40 developers. Trust me, he never had anything close to that, not even 10. He pays developers roughly 20% of what he earns from selling interfaces and keeps the rest. He presents himself as a developer, but in reality, he only handles design and not always by himself. There is not a single confirmed case where he sold a cheat, a driver, or source code. If you approach him for software with a large budget, by large I mean $1,000, $2,000, the risk of receiving absolutely nothing is very high. He also frequently claims that a menu is sold only once and then deleted. In reality, the same menu gets resold 20 or 30 times, and requests to delete it are simply ignored. The same works keep reappearing. The same applies to custom orders. If you don't pay at least $300, $400, he will never build anything from scratch. Instead, he finds an existing menu that roughly matches your request and sells it to you and then to several other people. In my opinion, that is outright fraud. Custom interfaces are bought because people want something unique. In the end, what they receive is not unique at all. Now let's get to the main reason why I finally left his server. A few months ago, Past Owl had permissions on my Design Hub server. While I was asleep, he renamed my server and placed banned extremist symbols on it, specifically a swastika, which is obviously forbidden by Discord rules. This was clearly an attempt to get my server banned. Later, he brushed it off as a joke. For me, that was the final line. I didn't restore his access. Thanks to my friend Austin, who banned him immediately, the server was likely saved from being taken down. I also want to explain why I stayed on his server for so long. I was there almost from the very beginning and invested a huge amount of time and effort into it. But eventually it became clear that staying associated with him was damaging my reputation. Simply being around him automatically made me look like a scammer. I also want to talk about his website, Eternal Engine. When his website stopped working after he fell out with the developer who built it, I offered to help for free. He paid that developer $1,800 for the website. I installed the site on his hosting, asked for no money, and only recommended topping up the hosting account with $35, which went directly to the hosting provider, not to me. I spent a couple of hours setting everything up. The site is written in Python, which wasn't my usual stack, but I still handled it. He couldn't even do that himself. After the setup, he couldn't assign himself an admin role. He couldn't handle a basic database operation. I explained that he only needed to change a value in the database he had full access. Instead of figuring it out, he banned me from the server and accused me of scamming him for $35. He said he wouldn't restore my access unless I either returned the $35 or helped him configure the site further. That's why I say I left on my own. Yes, I could have fixed the admin panel easily, but I was done with the constant accusations and disrespect. He believed he had more rights than anyone else. At that point, I decided it was time to stop working with him entirely. On my Discord server, I released his website publicly. Anyone interested can download it there. To summarize, a person who was accused by dozens of people of scamming them for $1,000, plus accused me of scamming him for $35. That speaks for itself. I am not encouraging anyone to buy from me. I am simply warning you about what you may face. This video is only a small part of the full story, but even this should be enough to draw conclusions. Some of the evidence has already been shown on screen. If you have questions, feel free to contact me on Discord or Telegram. I can provide screenshots, conversations, and contacts of people who were scammed. There are many of them. All my contacts are in the description. Whether you choose to buy from him or not is up to you, but I think the facts speak for themselves.